I am a lot more competitive than I like to admit. I tend to take things very personally, especially when somebody challenges me on my ability to accomplish a goal that I've set for myself. Now, I feel like I put out this image of, not being very competitive and just kind of staying in your own lane. And the reason why I preach that message is because that is what I aspire to be. I aspire to be somebody that doesn't compare myself to anybody else. And I also want you guys to get to that point as well. I want us to get there together. And I feel like staying in your own lane and not competing with other people allows you to have an abundance mindset because, you're not thinking about what somebody else has that you don't have. If you're only focused on what you have, then you'll never feel a lack of anything. You'll only feel abundance for the things that you have, and you'll feel more grateful. And as I've said before, gratitude is the key to manifesting your desires. And, I've definitely noticed that on my YouTube journey, that when I adopt a more abundance mindset, I focus more on my own individual journey. And I don't let people's words and challenges get to me. I feel like my channel's grown faster. I feel like I've enjoyed the process a lot more, a lot less stress, depression, anxiety, all of that, But with that being said, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I am perfect. So, growing up, I was very competitive. I was a very competitive kid, but at the same time, I wasn't very confident in my personal abilities. I think a big part of the reason why is because I didn't play sports as a kid. I never played an organized sport as a kid. And, I don't regret not playing sports because, I was always more of a loner. I kind of like to do things at my own pace. But at the same time, I feel like playing sports at a young age kind of instills a certain level of confidence and humility at the same time. And it teaches you to work as a team. But I was still a very competitive kid. I still had that fire in me. I hated losing. I always hated losing. And obviously, when you hate losing, you don't want to admit it because then every time somebody beats you at something, they have the personal satisfaction of knowing that they have caused you a lot of distress. But, I feel like it's important to be self-aware of that competitive nature so that you can do something about it. Now, as I said earlier, I do feel like, when I kind of let go of that competitive nature and just focus on myself and my personal abundance and my path, my channel has grown faster. But if it weren't for my competitive mindset, I'm not sure if I would have ever made it this far to begin with. I'm not even sure if I would have started YouTube. Within this level of competitiveness within me, within this competitive nature, lies an inherent pettiness and stubbornness. When somebody tells me that I can't do something, I make sure that I do it just to spite them. Literally, just to spite them. There's so many things in my life that I probably would have otherwise never accomplished if somebody didn't challenge me on that thing. For example, I drink a gallon of water a day, right? And, that is very normal to me. But when I got that first gallon, of course, it was very intimidating to me. A gallon is a lot of water. And I remember I had that gallon of water and I told my sister, and if you asked her, I'm sure she would not remember this. But this is what I mean by competitive nature and pettiness. Like these types of things stick in my head. But I told my sister that I was going to drink that gallon of water in that day. And I remember she looked at me and she laughed. And she was like, yeah, right. And like I said, I'm sure she would not remember that. This was like 3 years ago. But whenever she said that, I was like, okay, like that's all I needed. That's all I needed. I took it very personally. And needless to say, that gallon of water was gone by noon. Okay, by 12 o'clock p.m., the gallon of water was completely gone. I drank it all just because she said that. If she had never said that, if she had never told me that I was not going to be able to do that, I probably would not be drinking a gallon of water every day right now. Now, the next example of this is, like I said, with YouTube, starting YouTube. I remember when I dropped out of school, people thought that I was, tripping. Like they thought I was tripping because I was like a straight A student all through high school. I was known to be a very intelligent kid. And it was pretty much assumed and established that I was going to go to college and get a good degree, get a good job, and live the rest of my life that way. But, before I went to college, like the summer between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college, I had discovered the world of entrepreneurship and working for yourself. Now, prior to that, I didn't know that any of that type of stuff was possible. Okay, I had never even imagined that in my head. I knew that I wanted to make a lot of money, but I thought the only way to do that was to be, a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or something like that. And I remember when I went to college, my very first day of college, I was in class. I think it was my English class. Yeah, it was my English class. First day of college. And we were doing icebreakers. And me and this girl got partnered up together. I think she was sitting behind me. And she was like a year or two older than me. I was 18. She was probably like 19 or 20 at the time. And one of the questions on the board was, what do you want to do after college? Now, mind you, at the time, I knew I didn't want to work at a job. I just knew I wanted to make a lot of money. That was my plan at the time. I just knew I wanted to be rich. So I told her, I want to be rich. I'm going to be rich. And, I told her that, and I genuinely meant it. And the reaction that she gave me reminded me a lot of the reaction that my sister gave me when I told her that I was going to drink a gallon of water every day. There was no ill intent behind it, but I can tell that she either thought that I was joking or she didn't believe that I could do it. That lit a fire in me. That's when I decided that, first of all, I'm different than the people that I'm in college with. Clearly I'm not on the same wavelength as these people. And I knew that because she did that, I was going to make it happen. I was going to get rich. Now, mind you, I am not rich. I am not rich by any means. So that story is kind of pointless. But, that's a story that I'm going to be able to look back on when I am rich, because I know I'm going to get rich. And the reason why I know I'm going to get rich is because of that day, because of the reaction that she gave me. That lit a fire in my ego. It hurt my ego a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Competition comes from the ego. And, when she did that, and like I said, I'm sure she doesn't remember that. People don't think about these types of things years after they happen. But I do. That type of stuff sticks with me. And it drives a certain level of hunger and passion in me where I just know I'm going to make it happen. Now, like I said, I ended up dropping out of school and I decided to start YouTube. And, when I first started YouTube, a lot of my friends were very supportive of me, but I knew in my head that there were certain people, and I'm not going to say who, but there were certain people that were close to me that didn't really see the vision that I saw. They didn't really think that I could do what I'm doing right now, as far as getting paid on YouTube or, just being a bigger YouTuber and getting my name out there. I feel like there were people that didn't really see what I saw for myself. And, I took that very personally. In my mind, I remember the feeling of just having that insecurity, feeling insecure about my dreams. Because I knew that there were people out there that were trying to project their insecurities onto me, whether it was openly or silently. And sometimes it would come out, if I'm in an argument with somebody and they say something, the thing that they say, those things stuck with me. I never forgot anytime somebody implied that I wasn't successful on YouTube or wasn't going to be successful on YouTube. Another example of, people doubting my YouTube dreams. I remember this so vividly. I don't remember which girl this was, but this was one of the first two girls that I talked to. And so because of this, I kind of have like a little bit of animosity towards both of them just because I can't remember which one it was, which that's probably unfair on my part. I think I have a good idea of which one it was though. But anyways, in my room, I have this sign, or at least back then I had this sign that said, by August 2020, I will have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I had that sign up in my room since I hit like 200 subs. Now, at the time of me bringing this girl into my room for the first time, I probably had no more than 400 subs, maximum. At the time, that was a really big goal for me. And I remember I brought this girl into my room, and no, we didn't do anything. We did not do anything at all. But I brought this girl into my room and she saw the sign on my bed frame and she laughed. It was very, very similar to the reaction that my sister gave me when I told her I was going to drink that gallon of water. It was very similar to the reaction that that girl gave me on my first day of college when I told her that I'm going to be rich. But this one cut a lot deeper because this was a girl that I was trying to cultivate a relationship with. And this was a goal that was extremely personal to me. You know, at the time, I was already putting in a lot of work towards my goals. You know, I was already doing YouTube for free, mind you, while working at a job to support my YouTube dreams. And for her to do that, for her to disrespect my dreams like that, you know, that really bothered me. If that happened right now, I would have just kicked her out. Plain and simple. I would have kicked her out immediately. But, you know, needless to say, me and her didn't work out. And I'm very glad that we didn't. Because if you don't support my dreams, you know, you don't belong in my life. And the last example of this is when I decided to quit my job. Now, when I decided to quit my job back in March, I was still not monetized. I had around 700 subscribers on YouTube. I was seeing very slow growth. I didn't know what type of content I wanted to post on my channel. But I knew that it was time to quit. I just felt it in my gut. I felt it intuitively that it was time to quit because there was more out there for me. I knew that YouTube was about to start taking off for me. This was back in March, mind you, March 2020. It's October 2020 right now, and I just hit 15K. So, you know, my gut feeling was right. But I remember I asked this one person, I'm not going to say who it was. I asked one person who at the time, you know, their opinion held a lot of weight. I asked them if I should quit my job to go full-time on YouTube. And I told them that, you know, I felt in my heart that it was time. And this was somebody that, you know, had the same ideals as me. You know, they also expressed that they didn't like the 9-to-5 lifestyle. They didn't like, you know, working. Felt like we were wasting our lives away working at jobs that we didn't like. And so I remember I asked this person if I should quit my job. And I remember one specific thing that they told me that stuck with me. The text message that they sent me is imprinted in my mind forever. They told me that I think you should always have a job. I know you hate working, but you're gonna hate being broke even more. Now look, I know this person probably didn't mean nothing by that, but when they said that, I took that extremely personally. Okay, I was offended. I was genuinely offended when they told me that. And it was at that moment that I made that decision. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit just because this person told me not to. Just because they told me that I'm gonna end up going broke. I'm gonna quit this job. I'm gonna get paid on YouTube. And I'm gonna prove them wrong. And look at me now.